Growth often feels lonely, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're leaving behind a version of yourself that no longer fits. Real change begins quietly. Long before your life looks different, the way you think begins to change. Sometimes conversations don't feel the same anymore, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've started growing in a different direction. One of the hardest parts of growth is accepting that not every relationship is meant to travel the whole journey with you. Here's something we rarely think about. Growth doesn't only change your future, it changes what feels familiar. And familiar is surprisingly hard to let go of. You're no longer where you used to be, but you haven't fully arrived where you're going. That space in between often feels lonely. Growth often looks ordinary. Different habits, different conversations, different choices. Small decisions quietly create a different life. People often expect you to stay who you've always been. Your growth reminds them that change is possible, and sometimes that feels uncomfortable. We often think growth means gaining something. Sometimes it means releasing habits, expectations, or identities you've already outgrown. One day you'll notice something surprising. You no longer need every invitation, every conversation, or every approval to feel complete. Sometimes growth doesn't make your life louder. It makes it calmer. And at first, calm can feel unfamiliar. The loneliness slowly becomes something else. Space to think, space to heal, space to hear your own voice again. One of the greatest gifts of growth is realizing you don't need to shrink yourself just to feel accepted. As you change, your relationships change too. The people who belong in your next chapter usually meet the version of you you're becoming. One day you'll look back and realize the loneliness wasn't empty. It was making room for the life you were growing into. Growth may ask you to walk alone for a while, but you are not walking in the wrong direction. Sometimes the loneliest seasons become the ones that lead you home to yourself. Less burnout, more life. Welcome to Life for Glow. Subscribe for more new videos.